and that's where control flow statements can help us. There are a lot of different types of control flow statements like if then else and switch and for and while and do while, and we are going to cover all of them in detail in this series. So let's get started with the first one, which is the if statement. We covered briefly about this when we talked about operators, and I promised you guys that I will be covering this in detail, and this is the session where we will go deeper into this concept. As we have already understood that if condition is basically used to evaluate a condition if it is true or false. The result of an if statement will always have only two values. It can either have a true value or it can have a false value. There is no other possibility or there is no other value of an if statement or of an if expression. Now, like I explained, if you want to do a simple programming execution where you say if a particular condition becomes true, do this, and if this becomes false, then do example. I've created a class and there is a public static void main method, which is the entry point of this program's execution. I have a variable which is called test score. This is an integer variable with the value 76, and I have a char variable which is grade. Basically what I'm doing, that based on the test score marks, I'm trying to define the grades which a student will get. So for that I have built a condition here. So you can see it starts with if, which is a keyword, then you put these standard braces or brackets and you write your condition inside it. In this case I'm writing the condition saying that if test score is greater than equal to 90, then the student should get an grade A. So here I've defined this grade variable, and here I'm just assigning the value to the grade variable at line 11. If the test score is greater than 90, the grade should be A. But what if the score is not 90? What if this condition becomes false and you want to do something? In that case, you can write this else block here. We call this else block. So you write else as this, and then you define the grade. If the score is not greater than 90, what should be the grade of the student? So in this case, we are saying the grade is F. So if we try to run this example in our mind, we see that the value is of the test score is 76. So 76 is not greater than equal to 90. So this particular condition will not be true. So line 11 will not be executed, but instead else block will be executed, because if the condition goes false, then else block should be executed as per Java. So this block will be executed and grade will get a value of F, and then we are printing this grade value by just writing a system.out.println a string plus the value. So let's run this particular program and see what happens. We get a grade equal to F here in this sysout or system.out.println, because this condition was false. So the flow of the control of the program went to line 12 and then to line 13, because this was the else block. So this is one understanding where we can write an if and else logic. In some cases you might not need an else block. So else block is not mandatory, it's an optional block. If you want to remove this and if you just want to do a sysout here, that is also fine. Sysout means system.out.println. For shorthand, we sometimes call it as sysout. So you can do something here as well if you don't need the else block. If you need the else block, feel free to write it, but this is an optional block. But in some cases, your conditions will be more complicated than just a single condition. If you try to understand it from a real world example, in real world, you will not have only two grades as A and F. You will have more grades, right? A, B, C, D, so on and so forth. So what are you going to do in that case? For that kind of case, Java provides us with a keyword which is called else if. Else if is just a continuation of if, saying that okay, if this condition doesn't hold true, evaluate the next one with an else if. So I've commented out this code. Let me put this code back into its place and then we will walk through this code to understand it. Okay, so I have put the code back to where it should be, and this is how it looks like. So let's just walk through this. The line 10 and 11 doesn't change, it's still the same, but then I have added some additional conditions saying that okay, if the score is greater than equal to 90, the grade should be A, but if the score is not greater than 90 but greater than equal to 80, then the grade should be B. Similarly, if the score is not even greater than 80 but greater than equal to 70, then the grade should be C. Similarly, if the score is not even greater than equal to 70 but greater than equal to 60, which means basically between 60 to 70, then the grade should be E. And if the score is even below 60, then the grade should be F. So you can see I have basically defined the whole logic for defining the grades here, and it always works in a top-down approach, one by one. The way, in the sequence in which you will define the else if block will be the sequence in which they will be executed. So after the condition at line 10, and if this condition fails, line 12 will be naturally executed. If this condition also fails, line 14 will be executed, and so on and so forth. It will never be the case that if this condition fails, then suddenly line 16 is executed and then again line 12 is executed. It will always work in a line by line fashion. So make sure whenever you are using the else if statements, write it in a sequence in which you want the natural program to be executed. So